Okay, and remember, these are all, the skin is normal postures, but want to let you kind of get a sense maybe of how, you know, they're putting some meat on in the chicken breast and in the chicken thighs. You know, we're seeing these birds really develop, okay? And they're going to develop a lot more. But wanted to give you a sense there looking of some size. And I wish we could have them right beside each other, but we needed to pull these other birds out of this group. And it's not because of sickness, and we're not concerned about having them over here with this group, but what we had was 2 birds that were injured and 2 birds that were tiny. So it's just not a good practice to leave injured birds or tiny birds in with a group of growing meat birds that are thriving and steadily getting bigger more and more rapidly, okay? So this is one of the injured birds, and the injury is in this leg over here. And actually, you know, it could actually be a deformity because we don't know of anything specific that has happened to this bird. But there is a leg problem down here, and actually it looks a lot better now than it did. I think we pulled it out on about day 20, and the joint actually looked kind of blue, and it wouldn't walk at all, okay? It was letting other birds run over it, and now it can walk. And see, that's what's wonderful about having a size operation where we can have our group systems and our group procedures, but if we see a bird that's in need of specialized intervention applied to an individual, we can respond to that, okay? This bird would probably have already died by now if we'd had to leave it in the big group. It was hard for it to get to food, hard for it to get to water. It needed the opportunity to have a low feeder and a low water in case it can't, you know, stand up and bear weight on its leg in order to eat and drink. And it also needed the opportunity to be able to move around in a less crowded space, okay? And that's not overcrowded over there. That's a really good stocking density for our meat birds, but it's a lot more crowded than here, which is a lot more stressful. And then here's a good angle, and see that joint is still very, very big, very swollen. So if the leg doesn't improve, we probably won't take this bird to processing. So as far as flock production, this bird is probably out of the population count, but I still would rather give it better quality of life and see, you know, where we end up, because it's doing okay. So that was an injury bird. I believe this is the other injury bird, yeah. So this bird, same thing, it wouldn't get up and move. This bird is worse off, I think, than this bird. You can see right here, there's a bit of a wound here at the wing. At first, all we could see was bruising. There's no other bruising anywhere else, but this bird, I do see it get up some and move around some, but it doesn't stand upright very well. So we typically like try to stand it up on its feet several times over and over again throughout the day, just to see, you know, if we can get it to bear a little weight on its legs. I'm going to put a water right there. I just watered this one within the hour, but you know, sometimes we'll put the water right in front of it, because if this one's not going to go eat and drink, it's going to dehydrate, all right, or starve. But it's been eating, it's been drinking, just isn't moving around. And you saw that one got up and moved around, so that's improvement. And this one has improved tremendously. In fact, we'll do a video this week on this one earlier when we first pulled it out. And the initial triage was just to try to determine, well, you know, what's going on here? Is it hurt or what's the problem? But, you know, it just, yeah, it's hurt. And we just had to take it out of the flock. So anyway, we'll do it. We've got old video from last week. We'll probably use this week. And this one was just small. And this one was just small. So, but see that even just like there, it just manured. I can assess that. The manure quality is normal and healthy. there's a 5-week-old leghorn, okay, and that's a 22-day-old meat bird. That meat bird should be every bit as big as this bird, all right? These are 22-day-old meat birds. These birds are way bigger than that little runt meat bird there, okay? And this is kind of a concern too. When you've got your meat birds growing and they lay on their side like that, that's not a bad indicator that they're laying on their sides like that, but they're at risk of rolling over and getting on their backs and not being able to get back up. So, that's one of the reasons we check on them really frequently. But a couple of terms in production agriculture I wanted to share with you guys and the way we interpret them. For one thing, production agriculture means the animals are in production to be processed into a meat product for human consumption generally. So that means that production agriculture, every animal in a production agriculture operation essentially is terminal, meaning they are going to be butchered and processed into meat at the end of raising them, whatever production length is for that animal. So, production, terminal, and then another term is cull, C-U-L-L. And so, for example, our understanding, interpretation is that in a lot of really big operations, birds like these, injured, tiny, they would be cull birds immediately. There would not be, so the one furthest in the corner is the meat bird, okay? There wouldn't be opportunity to take those birds out of the flock at large and separate them and see how they do. And I could be wrong, and maybe there is opportunity for that in very big operations. But it's hard to do that in a big operation because, the system has a certain routine and it has to continue that routine in order to work and function properly and effectively. But, that doesn't help sometimes a bird that isn't keeping up with the system, right? So because like these runts, they may take longer, but they'll be able to finish for meat production. The injured birds, though, that's a pretty bird. I think that's, I think it's one of the blue cuckoo marins. No, I'm wrong. It's one of the Americanas. Anyway, but here's the other runt. So they'll finish for meat production, y'all. But like these injured birds, probably not. Probably not. I doubt we'll take either of these to the processor. There, it's trying to move. It's really struggling. This one's getting around better. So I doubt we'll take either one of these to the processor. The runts, you know what, we might take them to the processor, but they might not go with this flock. Because we have a flock immediately after the current flock, we could let the two runts here continue to grow, and we could wait and take them when the second flock goes. But these two, if they are able to, this one's going to make it, I think. It's just going to have probably a bum leg and a swollen joint. This one, I just don't know. It can't get around very good. And if it's, we can take food to it and we can take water to it, but if it's just going to sit and eat and drink and never move around, its legs aren't going to get any stronger than they are right now. And it's also going to create issues, putting pressure on its heart. So I just don't know if that one will even make it. But if these two would make it, we'll probably just butcher them here at home for whole chickens for household consumption, and we won't take them to the processor. This one and the other runt, I don't think they'll make April 16th, but I do think we could probably just take them the end of May to the processor. That's probably what will happen. So these are sitting over here preening.